Hey y'all, you got Gord. It is Tuesday morning and the Hurt and Hippie is here to talk. It's Hippie Talks, and this one was driven from the comments, as most of my talks are. This one, they didn't ask for the talk, but they commented, made a good, strong comment, and I want to discuss it. So you've already seen the title, you bunch of cheaters. This one is Eric. You, a couple of big comments on the Hippie News about how all of us cannabis users, because of the regulations that have been placed, and you're quoting regulations that are actually rather local to Alberta and Calgary, but you're saying because of that, all of us should quit pot just to show them and move to what you found. You found kratom. Now, some people need to catch up on this. Eric, you've talked quite a bit about how you got away from cannabis. You have found kratom works really good for you, and I want to say that I'm happy for you there. I am. I'm also happy that you watch. I truly am, and I'm okay with us having a difference of opinion. It isn't a difference of fact, because we're both interpreting honest facts slightly differently, and I want to put them out there and get some more discussion, not just from you, Eric, but yes, you're totally welcome to discuss further. You're very upset at the rules that have been put around cannabis, and let's be honest, really, is it legalization? It is not. It's just a further tightening of restrictions, allowing certain people to have it at certain times, and creating a bunch more situations where people can't have it, and if they do, they're in trouble. From that, Alberta said no smoking in public places. That has bothered you. Alberta has come through with a pretty strict impaired driving law. That bothers you. Bothers me too. But and I'm trying to remember everything that you said, and I may have missed a few, and we may have to have a second video or more talk in the comments. But first I want to say this. I think that the regulations are abundant and overreach and ridiculous, but I'm not mad at them. I expect it as a logical consequence of bringing a once illegal product into the legal commerce. Especially one with such stigma. When prohibition to alcohol ended, at first it was a complete government grab for your alcohol dollar. Complete. At least here in Alberta, they're opening it up. That's another one of your complaints, is that it's all LP weed or you'll go to jail. You said you see a year. I asked you to wait a year and let's talk about this. You said a year from now, sure, we'll talk about it. Thousands of people are going to be jailed and like really fear-mongering, Eric, really taking it to its illogical conclusion. Now hang on one sec, person walking by. Just because the law exists doesn't mean it'll be used. Just because the law exists doesn't mean it will hit every one of us, even if we disabide by it. And even though a law exists doesn't mean that we're even going to break it. So let's take first the impaired driving law. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think I drive better when I'm high. I think most people do because we're safer and more cautious. But now let's take that to a logical conclusion, not an illogical one. Let's not just say that because some people like me enjoy smoking and when I'm ready, go for a drive. Pot smokers are smart. They don't go when they're impaired. They go once they feel back to almost normal. But let's take it to its conclusion. Most people I've spoken to said, I'm going to reduce how much I smoke while I drive. But also, let's take it to reality. I'm a guy with long hair and a beard, yet I've been pulled over 3 times in my life since I was a teenager. 3 times. And each one of those times, I was not checked. Long hair, earring. I'm a hippie, and I was not checked for pot or anything. One time I was given a speeding ticket, another time it was because the tail light was out. So are you going to get pulled over because you're high when you're driving? Very unlikely, unless you're being an idiot. And if you're being an idiot, it doesn't matter if you're high, drunk, or just an idiot, you should be taken off the road. So are you going to get pulled over? Are you going to get nabbed? Even if you're in an accident, are you going to be tested? It is not likely. It's only in those situations where things aren't explainable by other things. That's my thoughts. I can't prove it. But I don't think there's going to be a hella increase in stone driving charges, because most of us are better drivers and most of us just don't drive. You talk to most stoners, you spend your day getting things ready, you get all the munchies, you get all the food together, then you get to your house and you put the keys away and you get high and you go to sleep. So in many, many cases, we aren't driving. And that's the same with public consumption. Most of us who at least medically take it, but even recreationally, we're not going into public places to get high. We're going to someone's house, we're going to someone's backyard, we're going to our own place, we're going out into the mountains, we're going places that are not likely to get us in trouble. I agree with banning it in public places, because I also don't agree with somebody smoking a cigarette beside me. So if I don't want their smoke, they don't want mine. I'm okay with that regulation. And let me think. Oh yeah, and the one where you say thousands of people are going to get in trouble, or all these dispensaries are going to go under. That's assuming, look at, dispensaries have been illegal and thriving for years and years and years. And they're only expanding now that we're getting closer. And the laws do state that the LP has changed. In the future, there's going to be hundreds of LPs, because that just means they got a license. I know a dispensary, yes I do, and they're working on their local license right now, and in fact were granted it, except having trouble with their landlord. So no, that doesn't mean MMJ's going out of business. It doesn't mean dispensaries are a thing of the past. In fact, they're a thing of the future. Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC will all have dispensaries, and they will thrive. And then places like Ontario that will have government stores are going to be looking at that model and saying, they're killing their black market. We are not. And that will change too. So even if all these things we talked about are too restrictive and too tight and too stupid, you gotta remember, it's the beginning. As we get past legalization, then some of these regulations will prove or disprove themselves. And as we vote in and out different leaders and different plans, things will change. Look at alcohol now compared to the 40s when you could only find a few speakeasies to drink it at, and people were still drinking under the table against the law. So it's just a time frame, and I think we all need to keep not tell people what to do. I mean, yeah, if you could quit cannabis and go on kratom and do better, okay, but let me also look at the reality of that. It took me years to find the right solution for myself with cannabis. I'm not walking away from a natural product just because the government has tied a few bows around it and are making it more difficult for me to get at. I have found the solution for me, and so have hundreds, if not thousands, of other Canadians. And I support their right to do whatever the hell they please. And I support your right, Eric, to think this is bad. But let's look at reality. It's not as bad as you think it is, and maybe not so bad at all. Of course, I always have the hippie spin on it. I'm always looking for the positive. The sky is always blue. It's just sometimes blocked by white or dark clouds. It's still blue. Peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony.